I really do feel like when people start a business or when they start a new endeavor like this, there is a development process, right? It's this, you got your toddler years where you're just trying to figure out how to walk and all these things. And then you get a little bit rebellious in these teen years of like, F everybody, I'm going to do it my way, and then you kind of get a little bit wise and you settle down.
This is Rebel Therapist, a podcast for entrepreneurs who are trained as therapists and who want to level up their businesses, make a bigger impact, feel fulfilled, and be very well paid. I'm your host, Annie Schusler. Have you ever found yourself thinking this? I know what I'll do. I'll create a course and I'll bring in passive income. If you have had that thought, you are totally not alone. And before you go and try that, please listen to this episode. It's a masterclass in how to start a course the right way, how to improve a course over time, and how to grow the capacity of your course and your business as you continue to iterate that process. Introducing Miranda Palmer and Kelly Higdon, the founders of Zini-Me. They're two licensed therapists coming together to empower private practice owners to serve at their highest and best, improve clinical outcomes through business planning, and to break the statistic that mental health clinicians are the worst paid master's degree. In this conversation, they really let me get extremely nosy about how things work behind the scenes with their very successful and popular course. Welcome, Kelly and Miranda. I'm so excited that you're here.
Thank you for having us.
We're delighted.
Absolutely. Yay. So I want to dive into the behind the scenes of your business. I know you, just like me, usually are helping people with their businesses. And so I'm like really excited to geek out with you and learn more about your business and kind of how things work behind the scenes. So first, will you tell us about your business model as it is now? And for people who don't know what the hell I'm talking about with a business model, it just means all the things that y'all get paid for.
Yeah. So we are two therapists and we provide business consulting for other therapists and primarily through courses. That is the entry level. We have free courses that are there and free information that people access, but ultimately the cornerstone is built on courses that then can expand into one-to-one coaching. So we have something called the Business School Bootcamp for Therapists. It is basically an online university for therapists for all things private practice, whether people are just looking to grow, they're launching from scratch, or whether they're quote unquote successful, but going like, I don't like my business. Where did I go wrong? And whether that's a solo or group practice. So we have a program that people can enroll in that way. And that is a $2,000 program. And then we also have a one-to-one coaching program. We have a team of coaches that we've trained over the last few years. And they will take them through the process in a done with you kind of format and help them break through all the stuff that comes up and gets in the middle. And we help and give critiques all along the way as they implement everything. And that one is, depending on the scenarios of it, it's basically a $10,000 program for a year of one-to-one coaching. And then we have a couple of other like random things that we get paid for, speaking and
we have a one-to-one coaching program that's just with us, but we're on sabbatical from that and revisioning what that's going to look like down the road. And we don't know yet. We're taking a break to have some space to revision since the pandemic and everything, what we want one-to-one to look like. So that, but we've had that in the past. We just recently have taken a break.
Yeah. And that program we would do one-to-one, and it would also include an in-person retreat. People would come out to Oceanside, California. We'd rent these beautiful condos and everybody would come together. We'd have a private chef. I mean, it was super fun. Yeah. But there was something about, obviously, the pandemic in California. We just got mask orders mandated, as of today. Yes. So
I didn't even know that.
Yeah,
all indoors. I've not been checking the news today. Okay.
So we're like, oh, okay. Or every time we're like, maybe, and they're not.
So we're just figuring that out. But courses have been and we've had various courses throughout the years, but the business school has been our our flagship, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. And that's what I definitely think of you right away, like as always think of that business boot camp. So, all right, tell us about like looking at the business school boot camp for a moment. How has that program changed over the years?
Well, I will say this, and this is how we do typically coach. We are not really all about create the program, then sell it. We are really sell it. And then if you can sell it, then you should create it. And that is what we did our first round of boot camp. We sold it and we created it each day. And it was originally an 8-day program with a module each day. And we gave those beta launchers lifetime access. From there, it evolved into 2 weeks. And we're in our next evolution where it's Monday through Friday for us doing office hours. So our involvement has shifted. The support around it has shifted. Now we have coaches that can come in and also answer questions instead of it all just being me and Miranda, though we are very heavily in it those 2 weeks. Heavily. So we do kind of feedback informed changes. So we check in. We're not only tracking outcomes, but we're tracking the feedback. We take that feedback, we add it to a list. We kind of prioritize what we can do, what we can add. We've increased in our accessibility. Things are now closed captioned and transcribed, and we're continuing to add constantly. So what we started with, those original modules, has grown into this huge Wikipedia as well. So every time people ask questions, if it gets asked more than once, it's going to probably end up as a lesson. And so 8 years of lessons, it's a lot. So it's like a large compendium to answer.
You have 2,000 therapists from all over the world who have come through and built successful practices, and you're building off of all of their questions, the different ways their brain works, the different nuances. And so we've been able to build that in. And I think also what I love too, we have such a diverse group of therapists who come through. We even look at, even if people don't give us like feedback, like, hey, I want this to change. If we notice like the same questions being asked over and over again, it lets us know there's something in the way that we're teaching that like it's not getting through. And so we will go back in and say like, okay, what needs to happen for people to go like, oh yes, I got this.
I can totally relate to that in like adding more ways to explain something and like looking at like, let me give one more metaphor. And sometimes that's the thing that takes someone from like, to like, oh yeah.
That's why I think there's this misconception of, oh, you do a course. We had someone be like, they work part-time. No, we work full-time. I mean, we work different hours than your capitalistic 9-to-5 job, right? But we do fully work on Bootcamp year-round because we're updating and things like this. It's an ongoing developing thing. And I'm not interested, and we tell people this, I'm not interested in just selling a course. I'm interested in changing the system. I'm interested in changing your life. And if this isn't doing that, I need to know so that we can make the changes. And that requires trust and an ongoing feedback loop for improvement.
Yeah. And it's a ton of work. And makes me think of, Octavia Butler talked about having a positive obsession. So not like a obsession that's negative in any way, but a positive obsession in life where you are kind of constantly curious and interested in mastering something and making a transformation. And it makes me think of that like in order to really have a powerful course, it's a lot of work, and it doesn't start with this finished project, this finished product. It doesn't start with like videos and worksheets and just like hand it to someone and let them go at it. It starts like you just explained to us with like a process that you ran live with humans in relationship.
Yeah. And here's how, and I think going back to the ideology of business school, because we had done other things before this. We had done like a website for therapists, build your website in 30 days program. And it took them in like 5-minute videos through the process of like day by day. If they just did these little things and implemented them, at the end of the 30 days, they'd have a website with the SEO involved and their domain purchased and a way for people to pay online, like all these things, like even beyond just a website. It was really like thorough. That's just how we do things. We like to look at the big picture. But we had been doing this other 8-week program that was really for therapists that want to go beyond the couch, because that's just super fun for us. We like doing that too. And we would get on the phone and we'd start interviewing people and finding out what was going on. And they'd be like, I need to go beyond the couch. And we would listen and we'd be like, no, you don't. Like the foundation of your business is so broken right now. And like, there is no time for anything else. Like, first and foremost, we need to like figure out the foundation of your business, really help you tap into what it means to be a successful business owner. And then from there, we can always move into this beyond the couch. But like, otherwise, if we don't fix the issues in this primary business, you're going to replicate and expand them in the next one. So we're like, we literally got on the phone. We would do hundreds and hundreds of 1-hour intensive for free
Sales
just
calls.
Analysis. It was sales calls, but it was also like analysis.
No, it was a lot.
And we would get so much data. And so we sat down and we started coming up with this idea for this business school, and specifically for therapists. And our coaches at the time were like, don't do it. It's not worth it. And we're going to charge $1,000 for it. And they're like, no, 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 no.
They were saying, no, it's not worth it because it's therapists, or
because of the price point in particular.
Yeah, the price point, the like amount of work. They're like, you should always focus on your highest level package, and that's just where you should be.
Mm-hmm.
But we didn't feel like that intuitive, discerning part of ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Like, sure, logically, that's what they're coaching, but we felt no, that wasn't where it needed to be.
No.
And they're like, it's just, and I agree to a degree that it takes the same amount of work if you're going to sell an expensive course or an affordable course. You still have to do a lot of work, right? But therapists weren't in a place back then at all in terms of like investing in coaching for private practice still was a foreign concept and things like that. And we wanted to meet our clients where they were at and fill a gap that we saw so that we could build up therapists to be at the point where they could do a course or those kinds of things because they had the business foundation set.
And we did it at $1,000. And I think our coach was like, okay, go and like sell 10 of them. And then like, maybe we'll talk. And so we easily sold 10 of them. We had 50 people. Mm-hmm. And our first one, we launched it within like a month and it was a lot of like getting on the phone and talking with people. Like, it was not the easy way. Let's be super clear. It was not
like
the
click
easy
here.
way. No, it wasn't like click here and purchase. It was real relationships, really getting to know people, really spending time exploring, and no high pressured sales at all. But it was like a lot of like real relationship building. And what we imagined the course would be was that we would record these 1-hour modules that people would watch. And then we do these Q&As. And then as people were enrolling, we put them into a Facebook group, right? We didn't have any kind of cool anything at that point. We put them into a Facebook group and we're like, I feel like we want to give them something to do between now and when the course starts. So I started recording these little like 5-minute videos like, hey, here's like this one thing you could do that could get you a referral source and bring you clients. Hey, here's this other thing you can do. And they were like, oh my gosh, is this what the course is going to be like? This is fantastic. We love that these are really short videos and I know exactly what to do afterwards. And we're like, yes, this is exactly what the course is going to be.
Let's change our plan.
Let's change our plan. And it wasn't a huge change, but it did, it was a shift of like a long PowerPoint slide versus little pieces. And we found over time too, so beneficial for us because then as we want to update something, we don't have to update a 1-hour thing. We can update a 5 or 10 minute section. It's also easier for clients to go in and search for that information, find exactly what they're looking for. They don't have to like sit through these 60 or 90-minute things.
That is so good. It's so much more modular. Like it
Yes.
fits together, but it's not a all packed in together
Mm-hmm.
kind of lesson. That's amazing.
Yeah. It's all about like, watch this, like understand it. And depending on learning styles, like I'm a watch it and then implement. Kelly's a watch it, watch it, watch it, watch it, watch it, understand the big picture, and then go back and implement it. Right.
Ooh, yes. I was just learning something this morning and I was like watching a video and I pause in the middle, implement, pause, implement. And I was thinking about this morning as I was doing that. And I was thinking like, oh, I'm not doing like just for a moment, my schoolish kind of training popped in. I was like, oh, I'm not doing it right. I'm not getting through the lecture. And then I realized I'm working on this. Like I'm actually doing the work. This is fabulous. This is just how I learn.
Yeah, this is the point. And I think that's one of the pieces too that we've really developed over time, and having thousands of therapists go through it is helping therapists understand their learning style, their action style, do it in a way that feels good for them. And that is, our course is very hands-on, as Kelly was saying. Like it is not a set it and forget it. We provide so much individual coaching and critique and support and feedback to every single boot camper who, posts during our working sessions. But ultimately, the fact that the material is there for them to pause, put it on double time, slow it down, redo it, means that they really can like follow their nervous system, follow their learning style, do whatever they need to do in terms of accessibility and use them in their screen readers or whatever the thing is, versus anything that we would do in a traditional kind of like school environment would not have that. So I like to refer to it as a reverse classroom. Like, here's all the data, right? And instead of having to sit through the lecture and like maybe at the end you get to ask questions, it's like, no, you get to do the thing and you just ask us questions and we're just fully there for those 2 weeks just to answer questions. Like, what are your particular things? And because we have this reverse classroom, we get to answer every question that's asked, period. Everybody gets their time. You don't have to be like, God, I've already asked 10 questions. I can't raise my hand again because no one else will get to. You're like, no, that's not my problem. All I have to do is ask questions, and it's up to us to make sure that those are answered. And you get to like be a part of that. And if you have time, you can look at what other people are asking and, get inspired by it or listen to their successes or what have you. Like, that's amazing, because therapists, we tend to learn best in community. Like, that's how we got through grad school. And so trying to do this like private practice journey alone is just, ugh.
Bad idea. Totally. In just a minute, we're going to get right back to Miranda and Kelly. First, I want to invite you to register for my program, which is called Create Your Program. Do you want to do this right? Do you want to create your signature program the right way? Which means, just like you heard from our guests, starting in a highly interactive, very high quality way. This is the program to help you do it. This is an 8-week process to expand beyond private practice. You're going to go from having an idea or maybe even a bunch of ideas to actually launching a pilot program. This is a small group experience where you'll get a lot of brave work done in a supportive group of driven and open-hearted and progressive entrepreneurs like you. This is designed to have you launching a paid program at the end of our time together or soon after. Folks are usually really surprised at how much support they get from me and from the structure of this experience, and therefore how much they get done. This is for you if you're a therapist or a healer and you want to expand your business. Head over to rebeltherapist.me/create to go ahead and learn more and register. Okay, let's get back to our conversation. Okay, so one of my mentors is Tara McMullen, and I remember years ago hearing this great interview with you, Kelly, with Tara, where you were talking about this moment. I remember it was like something where your partner was asking you, what do you want to eat? And you were like, I can't answer that. Like I am exhausted and like I'm in the middle of boot camp.
Yes.
You have to decide what kind of sandwich to make me. And
Yes.
it was just so resonated, like that filled up
The
feeling.
decision fatigue, yeah.
Yes, decision fatigue. Like, I don't know what kind of sandwich.
What's a sandwich?
But I could tell you what keyword research to do. Like, I don't,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes, without any effort.
That has shifted a lot since then, for sure.
Yeah, so how have you shifted it? Like what
Tell us what it was like, what our hours were for
Yeah.
coverage in the
When we
beginning.
first started, Miranda is an early bird. Like she wakes up at like 4 a.m. I'm a night owl. I was going to bed at like midnight, and we would answer questions that entire time. So it'd be maybe like a 4-hour gap where people weren't. And you got to understand, we have people that are international. We have people all around the world that are in this program, and you know, there's some parts of me that needed healing. I think there was a part of me is like, see, like how much great service I give, but you know, that stuff has healed, but that's that naive beginning kind of mind. I really do feel like when people start a business or when they start a new endeavor like this, there is a development process, right? It's this, you got your toddler years where you're just trying to figure out how to walk and all these things, and then you get a little bit rebellious in these teen years of like, F everybody, I'm going to do it my way, and then you kind of get a little bit wise and you settle down. And so healing that stuff, we kept pulling back. And I think there was this fear, like, let's just be real. If I change it, they'll go. This is the same thing we talk about with clinicians changing their fee or changing a boundary. They're afraid that the client will be like, can't do that. But that's just not reality. And so we slowly kept eking back. And now we're to this year where we're doing 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, not even weekends. We always have done weekends. And now we're not doing that. And now we also have a team that supports us. So we can, in the middle of the day, go get a massage. We can, and we do that. We'll go to the beach and swim if it's the certain session. I don't know about spring. It depends how cold it is. But we will go for a long walk, like we walked for an hour one day, so I don't have that decision fatigue. My daughter doesn't recognize too much. I mean, I'm working till 5, and that's not totally normal. Normally I pick her up at 3 and there's no work. So she'll see me work a little bit, but that's it. I don't have decision fatigue anymore like that, at least not in that way,
So you're saying during those active
live
times,
sessions. Yeah.
that's when you're doing the 9 to 5 availability, which is still a lot.
It is a lot.
It's really different. Like what percentage cutback is that for you just in terms of hours?
Well, I mean, considering we were doing 20 hours initially, so like we're
for
talking
14 days
for
straight.
14 days straight. Now, and here's the other thing that I would say.
And now we're doing 10 hours.
Here's part of what happened in that transition, though. When we first did it, there was significant questions like all the time. And what we did, because our program is feedback informed, is we went back and we would adjust and adjust and adjust and adjust. And part of this is in relation to having fewer of those questions.
Yeah, that's
and
true.
Like going in and like at 3 a.m. or 8 a.m. and being like, oh, there was only like 2 questions. Like this is not worthy of me amping myself up, because my normal is to get up at 4 a.m, but I would start to get insomnia during those 2-week times because my cortisol would start to raise. I would get really amped with the idea of like, okay, I'm answering this person's question in the UK, or, oh, I'm supporting this person in Australia. Like, isn't this lovely? But the truth is even within our regular hours, for most places, there's still overlap and we're still available and it's going to be okay. So I think our real commitment to excellence in our materials and ensuring that they are just absolutely like rock solid, crystal freaking clear has shifted. So even like the first 4 modules are very, very business oriented. The second 4 modules are very marketing oriented. The first 4 modules we have truly like minimal questions on those. There are questions that come up, but it's very minimal. The real questions come up when we start to do critiques, when people are writing their marketing message and we're reviewing them, when they're putting it on their website or trying to figure out their SEO keywords and all of these things. This is where like our expertise really kind of pops in.
I will just be honest, towards the end of that week, when you're writing so much, helping people rewrite so much website copy, there will come like writer's block moments where I'm like, I don't know. So then Miranda will be like, I'll do that one. But now we are also bringing on coaches that can help us with this. So it's going to be even easier. So it's gotten better. It was just, I was just like, like, I don't know, just feed me food. And
and at the end of it, right? Like after that, like it would be like kind of a crash, like the next week.
We don't have that.
Yeah, no, it would be like a cortisol crash. It would be like, okay, I could take time off, but like, I don't have the energy to enjoy it. Like I just feel like, and that's very different.
Now we do fun stuff.
Yeah. And we do still take time off after because it is a lot. I also think it's interesting. We've been noticing more over time that our clients feel less panicked and anxious. And so there's less posts on the weekends, which is also part of pulling off the weekends, which is like, oh, this also helps them to take a little bit of time, take a little bit of rest. They can absolutely use the weekends to catch up. They know that we're still going to answer every question they posted over the weekend. It's just going to be on Monday morning and it'll be okay.
Yes. And it's not an emergency. It can feel like it and it can feel urgent, but we don't work in emergency services. So
And business coaching has never fit under that description either. So
no. Every once in a while, like I know, but I was talking to someone the other day. I was like, "Ooh, we gotta like work on this stat." Like we're working in the program right away because we gotta fix this. But yeah.
So how do you decide, so you shared your prices with us. How do you decide on the prices? What kind of process do you go through together? What are kind of the factors that you're looking at as you pick those?
I want to say when it comes to bootcamp is a different thing. We did not come up with that price like in any kind of way that we would ever recommend a client come up with a price. Like we really were like, okay, this is a price point that feels fair for like what we're going to do. We're going to give them lifetime access. Like we're going to do this thing. And then over time, we've slowly eked it up and we have stopped it at $19.50 just because we want to keep it as accessible to therapists as possible. But if you have any other coach look at what we include and what's there, they will tell you that this is not a $2,000 program. This is a $4,000 to $7,000 program. So the way that we have priced it, and it's part of, again, that thing of like emotionally for people, when it gets to the $2,000 thing, it just freaks therapists out. But that's not how we price anything else. Like Bootcamp is our special little baby.
I will say it's different for us than it's going to be for most people because there's two of us. So we have to agree. We do meditate.
Yeah.
We can talk about the process, but I'll say like when we're coming to that final decision, one of us is usually like, oh, I don't know. And the other one is usually like, oh, it's going to be fine. And we have to meditate and say, well, what came up for you? And like, it's kind of we're really working on a much more intuitive approach, but that is informed by data. So some of it is we do know the costs. The costs for our bootcamp have increased significantly as we've expanded our team.
Like how much it costs your business to run bootcamp.
Yeah. No, I mean, we ran it on Facebook and like in these other places that were like $100 a month. And just because we have lifetime access and we have to have a software that can take thousands of people on it, like just like the general monthly hosting.
Oh, the software.
Then just the software part of things, having somebody go in and manually listen and do closed captioning for every single video to increase that accessibility, making sure that everything is easily searchable and that I mean, it just goes on and on in terms of all the steps that we take to ensure that our work is continually up leveling because there's nothing more I I can't even think of the word, but like the first person that called to like talk with us about boot camp that was like, I'm blind. Can I access your program? And we're like, we'll try. Like, let's figure it out. And it was like this moment of like, oh, damn, like we really need to like step up and be thinking about these things as opposed to just, well, do your best, here's the thing. And so now that we've had people successfully go through the program that have vision impairment or what have you, or hearing loss, like we have a staff member that has hearing loss. And it was a wonderful thing for them to say, hey, the video transcription, the automated transcription, like this doesn't do it for me. I have hearing loss. Here's what it feels like for me. And like really pushed us to say like, no, everything, like obviously what we do in the one-to-one, like during the working sessions where we're giving quick videos back and forth, like we do automated for that. For 99%, like all the other material, it is all human being making sure that someone with hearing loss or someone who just reading is their primary as opposed to video, it's there and it makes sense.
So there's you look at the hard cost, which of course are going to shift as your course changes.
Mm-hmm.
Then you look at your soft costs of like, what other things would you like to add into the program and what those costs might be, but they're not necessarily the most transformational. Like when people sign up for certain programs, they get swag from us or like mailings and stuff like that. And then we look at our time cost. Then we also factor in what kind of income do we need to make in our business in order to not only cover those costs, but also to pay ourselves. Mm-hmm. And then that all informs how something is priced. Yeah, Bootcamp, if you look at the pricing, it should be more for what costs we put into it.
And so that, like you've mentioned that a couple of times. So that's like about a goal in your business that isn't a money goal. Like having that priced how it is about part of your vision.
We do need profit. It does have to be profitable, but it's not going to be as profitable as some of our other programs simply because of these kinds of factors and changes and us still looking at what does accessibility look like for us and what are we able to give back out of our abundance and our successes. I think also, there's a lot of talk about courses and pricing and how if you offer pricing plans, it's not fair to increase the cost. And this is something we've actually gone around and around about, right? So like if your program is $2,000, but if they do a payment plan of 4 payments, you charge them like $300. So it ends up costing $200 more. It's because I have to pay an actual person to track that. I have to pay software to capture things. And this person can spend hours per like missed payment. And so that is an actual cost. And it's something we're like, are we causing harm? Are we, are we being oppressive in this practice? Or what does that all look like? But the reality is that when you offer payment plans, every time there's a feature on a program, there's an additional cost to it, whether it be time, a person doing it, or a software, right? And that's something I think when people are starting courses, they don't think about the time it takes. Oh, I'll just offer a payment plan. Awesome. But then you've got to capture missed payments. You got to track that. How are you going to, it's just, there's a process behind every single feature that you offer in a course.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it's like, you're talking about this process of being thoughtful about how you do payment plans, how you do all these things. I think I had said, I'm never going to use a countdown timer again because they stress people out and they're manipulative. And then I rethought it and I was realizing it's not necessarily, I'm not actually against the tool of countdown timers. I'm against, for me, using them in a way that's meant to like scare the pants off people. And so I'm experimenting with them again and then explaining them and saying, hey, and Kelly Deals influenced me in this way. Like, hey, I'm going to use a countdown timer here. And it's so you don't have to do the math on how many days do you have left.
Just be informed versus the countdown timer that are false of like, hey, this offer expires in 12 hours. But if you message me from a different IP address, it's going to be in 12 hours. Or this, it's like a false sense of urgency.
Check out this live webinar before it ends, but it's actually a replayed webinar with like fake things coming up or what have you. And it's like,
no.
Yeah, that it does work to a certain extent, but for us, it's
It doesn't
always
feel
just
good.
felt
And also,
icky.
and like people let's just riff off this a little bit of like, we close the cart and people are like, come on, you can take more people after the cart closes. Well, actually, we could, but it just makes all the projects back up because there's things that have to be turned off and zaps, and there's a whole bunch of tech. And it's not, there is a thought put into it, all of it. And it's not in a way to manipulate. It's in a way to create efficiency and preserve ourselves so that we could do what we do best. And
make sure that we're serving the people that have already enrolled, and we're not
honoring that.
We're not going back and forth with like 1,000 questions from people who are trying to figure out, well, should I start today? And then our stuff is built so that people have a little bit of time to orient themselves, and we drip out some of the initial content so they don't get overwhelmed. You have over 400 lessons, like hundreds and hundreds of hours of material, like all these things. And we found that when we kind of just gave it, people would be like, oh, that's a lot. And then they would kind of shut down. Versus if we said like, hey, here's the orientation, just like do these few lessons. And then that's going to open up your first module. And then after 7 days, you'll get access to some more. And then after 14 days, you'll get access to the rest of it. Like, it really helped to lower people's anxiety. So if somebody is coming in late to the program, then they don't have time to kind of go through that process. They feel behind the 8 ball. They feel like frustrated that they're not where other people are. And it's not just not good for us. It's not good for them. And we want people to have a really good experience, like truly, truly.
And that's taken our own learning over many, many years
of doing the thing of saying, oh yeah, no, come on in. We can do it. And there's one thing that we have done, and I don't feel bad about it, which is we'll say like, hey, enroll by Friday at midnight. Like, here's the thing. And it usually it's what works in our schedule and our timeline. But are we going to have our staff Friday at midnight going and turning everything off? No. Monday morning, they're going to go in and turn all the things off. So if somebody comes in on a Saturday or Sunday, fine, whatever. But our emails are done. We're not doing anything. And then Monday morning when they come in, they will turn everything off and change it over. But again, that's honestly more about our staffing, and because it doesn't make sense for us to, again, like have it be on a Wednesday night.
I'm not going to manually sit there and wait till the clock strikes midnight and go, okay, now we close it.
Oh my God, we did that.
We have done that.
Yep. I've done that too.
Yeah, but just sort of like, hey, here's the thing, and like this is when to make the decision and what have you. And we have that little bit of wiggle room that's kind of built in, but it's just logistically. And then we move forward because we don't want to keep sending emails. We don't want to send the emails on Sunday saying this is the last, because at some point you have to send the damn emails of like, this is the last chance, because that is what triggers people to kind of move forward for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And it's a real deadline. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it brings up that thing about countdown timers and all of these things. It's like, how are we using them? And if we're using them to protect our energy and we're doing it in a way that's really honest, then I think that actually gives people a much better experience. Like, if I show up in my program chill and rested, then they are going to learn so much more. They're going to get so much more out of it than if I show up like feeling kind of resentful because I'm doing this thing for this person and that thing for that person. It doesn't really work for me. Yeah.
Well, and our whole job as coaches, especially in business school, is to model what does it look like to run a business in a healthy manner. So we're not, if we say it, but we don't model it, are they really going to get it? And we joke often, especially the fact that there's 2 of us, which, going back to the pricing thing, like the more people you have in a program, the higher the cost really has to go. I think people often are like, oh, we'll do this thing and it'll be $19.90, $20. And with 3 presenters, I'm like, there's no profit. You're each going to make $1. Like, I don't even know what's going on. But we often joke in terms of it being the 2 of us that we take on this like parent place. And we can tell when like someone is seeing us from like a parental place. And, again, maybe the quintessential mom role or the quintessential dad role. And what's really interesting too is that it shifts. For some people, Kelly is that like kind of like person. And then for other people, I'm that person, and vice versa. People are like, oh, Kelly's so loving and warm. And other people are like, Miranda's so loving and warm. Like, it's just like whatever the scenario is, but we get to kind of help them work through some of those wounds, even through something as kind of innocuous as this like business school for therapists. But you can see them working it through. You can see them working through their family of origin issues. It's magical.
And I want to also add in terms of like the pricing and what the choices we make and being feedback informed. There is a line between, I hear this often when people want to start courses and they're like, so-and-so said they'd pay for a course from me for this. And we try to look for big patterns and themes as well, because we can't please everybody. So please, I want people hearing that to know, like, we're not just, someone wanted this module, so we added it. Someone wanted this. No, we're not reactive in that way. You have to take the information, say, what is my part? What is my role? What is my strength here? Is there something I can change? And that's same with the pricing. Everybody would like so many different payment plans and things like that. We used to have an annual payment plan. We got rid of it because the cost for us in time,
I get 12 payments.
12 payments. So, just like people have great ideas, and then you have to have a discerning spirit about really like, okay, what aligns with my values? What am I truly capable of? Because I've seen people do courses and they run themselves ragged trying to please every single member of that course,
So good. I was just snapping on a podcast, which is not a great idea.
Oh, is it not?
And then I just started touching my nose, which I've picked up
does that.
from Miranda.
We talked about this.
I picked it up from her. I never did that till I was with her.
I think the other thing too, which is interesting about pricing, like our next step in shifting Bootcamp is that at some point we are going to move it from a lifetime program to an annual program where it is 1 year of access, and that beyond that there'll be a monthly or an annual or some kind of an upgraded price. Like that will probably be our next step in terms of just the value. We bring in expert speakers. We pay a lot. Like initially it would be like, oh, this person agreed to do this thing. Okay, cool. They did it for free. Now we're like, no, like we're gonna pay people and pay them well. And really we're gonna license this wording and this languaging of this other thing to bring it in, so people don't have to go out and do all these other nickel and dime stuff. Like we're going to pay for CEs to make sure that a CE provider can come in and people can get CEs for working on their business, because our businesses are a clinical issue. Like this is not something that will not impact your bottom line and your outcomes with clients. It will.
We're just not done with the evolution. Like we know that there's more change to come, and that comes with our own growth. And some of it comes with advancement in technology. Some of the stuff we've wanted to do, we couldn't do because the tech didn't exist, but now it does. I mean, there's so many different factors.
Yeah. And that's all got to go into your pricing over time. Yes. This is fantastic. So another time we're going to talk about your marketing, but I am so excited about what we did get to cover. This is like such a gem for our listeners. So actually one more question, if you don't mind, before I let you go, is there anything in your, let's say, either morning rituals or just daily self-care rituals that you want to highlight that you've learned really keep you focused and or joyful? And I know they're going to be different because we have a night owl and an early bird.
Not anymore.
No? I am not.
She's matured over the years, like me.
I work out early in the mornings now, so I have to go to bed at like when my daughter goes to bed. I'm like, good night. I think that has changed over time. A couple years ago, I did a video where I had a videographer follow me around for like what my day looked like and my rituals. And I kind of laugh at it now. It's just, you grow and change. Right now, like I'm a master Reiki practitioner, like level. So I do a lot of Reiki daily. I'll start in the morning with energy postures and work. I'll put breath work in there. Sometimes we've done some breath work together, like gone to classes and things. And then Reiki and meditation has been really helpful.
Oh, beautiful. I love knowing that about you. That's so
Aw.
cool.
My real non-negotiable is movement in the morning. And for me, that is meditation, period. It might also involve like traditional meditation as part of that process. Maybe it's shavasana at the end of yoga. Maybe it's me doing 10 minutes of meditation, or yesterday was a rest day. So that was my sound bath in the sauna, for 50 minutes.
Yeah, we
or
both
what have you.
sauna a lot.
We both sauna. We both
Cupping.
yeah, we both got our saunas off of Marketplace or Craigslist used. So if anybody's like, you guys are real bougie, like, no, we're just really good at finding things on sale. But yeah, like my non-negotiable is definitely like that movement place and making sure that I'm really nourishing my body well.
Mhm.
Without that, like I really notice a shift in my mood and my focus and all the other pieces. And then I think this other part, and you could call it a ritual or you could call it not, but like ultimately is this focus on being growth oriented. I think over time, our bodies bring things to the surface that we are ready to work on from our past. And I think if we don't have a regular way to be working through those things, meditation, breath work, therapy, coaching, I don't know. But if we're not working through what's coming to the surface, that starts to build up really quickly and it impacts everything. It impacts our business and our clinical work and all of our relationships. And I think we often see all of that stuff coming to the surface as like we're doing something wrong or that it's a bad thing. And I actually like, as I get older, as I get aged and mature, I see it as like such a beautiful gift. I see it as like my body saying like, hey, like I'm ready to work on this next level of the onion. Like it's here for you. And if I don't have a growth oriented way to like recognize and respond to that, that is going to slow me down. And kind of, we talked about this on like a burnout training recently about how the fight or flight response really aligns in with, this like, oh, I'm really depressed. I don't have any energy for my business. Like, okay, this is that freeze. Oh my gosh, I'm spinning around and I can't figure out what I'm doing. And I'm always in a panic and I'm so distracted and never finish any project. Okay, that's that's that flight. Okay, I'm people pleasing. I'm saying yes to everybody, like all of the things. Oh, that's that fawn. Oh, everybody's pissing me off. Like all these clients are jerks and all my colleagues are assholes and all these other things are happening. Like that's that fight. Like what's going on? So I think that whether it's that big T trauma or little T trauma, whether it's like full blown PTSD or if it's just a flavor of that, we need to be like really checking in regularly. We need to be self-aware.
Very embodied.
Yeah. Yeah. And we need to know that there's a way through to healing, like one way or another. And Kelly and I are both geeks about like, oh, that didn't work. Like this therapy didn't work. That therapy, like brain spotting with the parrot guy didn't work. So let me find brain spotting with someone who doesn't have a talking parrot. Or like for me, like, oh, I tried this breath work and it didn't have impact, but like, oh, this kind of breath work really helped my body let go. And I just think I think sometimes people don't see that as at all related to business. And what we do in one thing is what we do in everything. Like your stuff will absolutely come out in every area of your business if you don't work it through.
There's been times we didn't know what to do on something, so we went and got a massage. Mm-hmm. And then we're like, oh, or like we're going to be like, I had this massage and I got all these amazing ideas, and it's when we create space and we get in our bodies, we do our best, and we're continuing to learn how to do that better. Like over the pandemic, we got paddle boards. Yeah. We go in the ocean now. We got an office actually during the pandemic, and we can walk to the ocean from here. And so not right now, I'm a little too cold for that, but typically we'll like put on swimsuits, go down, get in the water, and just again ground, be in our bodies, and then wow, we open up our thoughts again, and it starts to move. So we have practices that we do together as well as apart, which I think is unique and special, that we've grown in that way that we can share that stuff. And yeah, it's cool.
We launched our first courses from opposite ends of the state. I was in Northern California. She's in Southern California. Our Bootcamp, when we first did it, I was in Seattle and she was down in Orange County. So the fact that we're in the same space and, we're in our office now, and it's just a lovely thing. And again, a changing, right? Like, we had done all of this virtually from our homes for, 8 years. And then the pandemic happened. It was like, oh, we're trapped in our houses with all the people. Like, this does not feel good anymore. And it was suddenly an office that always felt like, oh, I don't want to have to go to an office. It's like, I get to go to an office, and it felt really good, and creating something that's really beautiful and that like our kids love to come to, and that like, it's walking distance from Kelly's daughter's school. It's a bike ride from my son's school.
And I have a puzzle table.
She does have a puzzle table. So
I can do puzzling. Like, that's another thing. Like, if I feel overwhelmed, I just look at my puzzle and I do my puzzle.
It's like a sacred space.
Yeah.
It is, right?
So good.
It's just changing over time. It's nice to reflect on. So thanks for asking that question. It's kind of neat.
Yeah, thank you. And this is so funny, wild that like, just this morning, I was talking to my spouse about like, I'm having this fucked up shoulder situation. And they said like, well, what are you going to be doing about that? And I was like, and they were giving me a few suggestions. And I was like, yeah, I think I'm going to start with a massage. And then they said, yeah, you've said that many times and you haven't done it. And I just started laughing so hard because I was like, that sounds like me. You're saying you're being me right now. And I'm kind of being you. Oh my God, this is what it feels like when someone says, like, you keep saying that and you're not doing it. So anyway, now they listen to every episode, so they're going to hear this and laugh their ass off.
They'll be like, but that's the part, right? I think that is a beautiful thing. And business partnerships are not always great. Any partnership, it takes a lot of work. But when it works well, and when you put the energy in and you choose really wisely and realize you are marrying this person, like truly, it's harder to divorce your business partner than it is to divorce a romantic spouse. When you realize that, like, there is a lot of beauty on the other side in terms of someone who just really knows you and can give you feedback, and you can hold each other accountable in ways that really work for each other and take care of each other. Where there's moments where it's like, well, we could do that, but like, I know that doesn't work for you. Like, what are you doing? Like, no, cancel that. Like, no, like that, not to overtake, but like, no, this is not okay for you. Like, I love you, and I want to make sure that you're really well taken care of, because you're the backbone of this business. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
That's amazing. And just for listeners to know, like, they just put their heads on each other's shoulders. Like, can you even take it? I can't even take it. I love it. I love it. Thank you so much, you two.
Annie.
This has been amazing.
It's been great.
I adore you. Every time I get to hang out with you, I just feel good in my whole body. It's good.
Go get your shoulder massage.
Or some ART if you need some
other stuff,
things.
Grafton, all that stuff.
Yeah. We got you.
It's time.
If you need another
sauna and get some cupping with us.
Come and visit Annie. We will take you to all of our people to work on your shoulder, and we'll do all the sauna. We both have guest rooms. We got you.
Okay, this is like the new Fantasy Island. I don't know if you've been watching it, but like, I feel like I just got invited to Fantasy Island.
Yeah, you did. Yeah,
it's called Southern California.
It looks sunny outside right now, but it's cold. It's like 40 degrees. So.
It's colder up by you, though, I'm sure.
I don't know.
Yeah, a little bit.
How cold is it?
All right.
Today? Oh, go.
Thank you so much.
We're not done.
We got to be done.
All right. We're going to press stop record, but then who knows what is going to happen. You can find out more about Zinny Me at zinnyme.com. That's ZYNNYME.com. I want to thank Jessica Riscala for producing this podcast and Cosmo Palms for editing it. If you found this conversation helpful and supportive, please share it with your favorite therapist or healer. That's absolutely 100% how we reach more people. And thank you so much for listening. And I'll be with you next time. All right, how about I try that again with my microphone on?